What you up to, Muggs? Look what he just found lying here on the side of the street. You're right blocking my view of what I'm looking at. It's a ball joint. It sure looks like it belongs in a 83 Chevy pickup. What the hell is it doing lying here? Yep. Just lying on the side of the road. Never know, maybe it's good. Maybe it's brand new, never been used. Where are we? Uh-oh. I'm the police. We're in Rhode Island. Providence. See? I got pooper scooper laws. No problemo. I got mine scooped. We walked here last night. We were just driving around looking for a restaurant. We saw these magnificent homes from 100 years ago. Big, hard-to-eat mansions. When does a big house become a mansion? At what square footage? 8,000. Now you know. I heard it. No, wait, don't tell me. So we're just walking along and Providence police riding a Harley. Oop, watch out for that speed bump. Yep. Using my left hand. Providence police ride Harleys. Even on the last day of existence. Who cares about the Mayan calendar? Stupidity. Never heard of such a thing. The world's coming to an end because some guy counted to 47,387,000. Yeah, right. Just walking along on this beautiful street. Where are we? Wentworth. This beautiful street in Providence. They got huge problems here with employment. There isn't much relative. What do we got here? The WPA, 1935, 1937. The War Patriot Act? WPA, I've heard of it, and I can't think of what it stands for. Of course, somebody watching the video is going to know what the acronym is. No, I know what that is! Oh yeah, people throwing their trash out the windows. Ball joints, Gatorade jars. Got a river here that runs right through the residential neighborhood. I don't know what the name of it is. We'll eventually get to a sign. Water's flowing. Good rain. It always flows downhill. Like I said, I'm using my left hand. Grip on the camera. It's chilly. There's frost on the pumpkin this morning. So I got my crappy dot mitts. Muggs doesn't want to walk. He wants to just lag behind. Cemetery. People just dying to get in. Yeah, we're going to miss Fruit Loops memorial service. That's tough. Oh, trash can right at the bottom of the hill. I wonder what the name of this park is that we're tooting along at. I wonder how bad they got hit by Hurricane Sandy. I was looking on the map. Posit. Providence is actually closer to getting to Cape Cod than Boston is. I never knew that. I've been to Cape Cod when I was a kid, probably a teenager. If there's any bullfrogs, they're frozen. It was cold last night. Excuse me, sir. What's the name of this park? What do they call this park?
Roger Williams Park.
Roger, he was a famous guy.
Yeah.
I see his name everywhere.
Well, he was the founder of Rhode Island.
Oh, really?
Where are you from?
The Adirondacks, upstate New York.
Well, I'm from the Catskills.
Oh, really? Okay.
But we've lived in Rhode Island for 20 years. More than 20 years. He was a Baptist preacher who got kicked out of Massachusetts by the Puritans.
Which is right next door.
Right next door.
Yeah.
If you, while you're here, go to the Roger Williams Memorial, which is downtown. It's just off North Main Street. You'll find it on Google Maps.
Mm-hmm.
But he said that any effort by government to enforce faith destroyed faith. And so there should be absolute freedom of religion. And he established
and a
that
separation of
church and state.
which we don't.
Complete separation
Yeah,
of church
right.
and state. And that really is a heroic position. And Rhode Island was the first place in the modern world where religious freedom and political democracy were united in the same government.
I have no idea.
If you go to the State House on Smith Street, which is just up the hill from the Roger Williams Memorial, just outside the Senate chamber, you'll see the Royal Charter of 1663.
Which is 350 years ago.
Right, which established that they could have absolute freedom of conscience, and Charles II called it a lively experiment to see if this could work. And it did work. The problem with the Royal Charter was it made the General Assembly the government of Rhode Island, with complete power to do all things. And the General Assembly then, after the American Revolution, wouldn't allow a constitution that would have separation of powers, and it led to what was called the Dorr Rebellion, where they fought for that. Anyway, we finally got separation of powers into the Rhode Island Constitution in 2004. So, and it was a 10-year battle that I thought I would die before I saw the end of. So
you're looking pretty good.
Well,
taking a nice walk.
We won, but it was a hard battle because the legislature still wanted to have its ability to appoint members of boards and commissions that executed law. And
need to be voted.
What?
They need to be elected.
Well, no, they wanted to be able to, they across the country. There was not a single sitting lawmaker on a board that regulated gambling. In Rhode Island, 6 of 9 members of the Lottery Commission were sitting state legislators. And it was an invitation to corruption. And so...
Never heard of such a thing.
What?
I never heard of such a thing.
Well, it was. In 1992, Sheldon Whitehouse, now the United States Senator, one of 2 United States Senators, raised the issue with me. I was the director of Common Cause at the time. I'm retired now. And he said, all the work you're doing on ethics and campaign reform is good, but you won't cut the deep root of Rhode Island's corruption until you get the separation of powers. And he was right, and that was the battle of a lifetime.
What do they say? Absolute power corrupts absolutely.
That's right.
Yep.
The Speaker of the House was the most powerful political leader in the state. And we had the situation in 1976. The guy who was Speaker, Joseph Bevilacqua, had been a mob lawyer. And he continued his ties with the mob, representing mob figures. And in 1976, the process for choosing Supreme Court justices at that point was in the General Assembly. All the senators and reps meeting in what they called Grand Committee. So the Speaker of the House controlled twice as many votes. Bevilacqua orchestrated his own election as Chief Justice of the Supreme Court and continued his tie with mobsters. So in '86, for a series of things I won't begin to describe to you, he fell in an impeachment scandal, and his successor, who was an Irish populist named Matty Smith, became Speaker and put his friend Tom Fay in as Chief Justice. And Fay and then hired Smith as administrator of the court. And 7 years later, Fay was the highest paid Chief Justice in the United States, and Smith was the highest paid administrator, and they were hiring all their loyal cronies.
Yeah.
So we had another scandal, which led to a change in the way so now the governor appoints the Supreme Court justices from a list recommended by American Selection Committee. So we've made a lot of headway, but the point is that the same Royal Charter that established religious freedom and political democracy also became the albatross in later centuries when the legislature used it to prevent reform through, as I said, the Dorr Rebellion, and right up through what we call the Bloodless Revolution of 1935, when Democrats threw out a century of corrupt Republicans, and then we had corrupt Democrats for
Absolute power.
absolute power. What's your work in New York?
All right, we heard an explanation of the origins of Rhode Island from this gentleman, Mr. Roger West.
Phil West.
Oh, Phil. Phil West. I apologize. I'm CORVAIRWILD on YouTube.
Good to meet you.
And we'll see you at the State House.
Wish you a safe journey.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank
Happy
you.
holidays. Merry Christmas.
Same to you.
Take care, Mr. West.